Hi, everyone. Welcome to True Disabled Story. My name is Nico, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm a white man with blonde hair, large blue and brown spectacles, and a gray graphic t-shirt underneath a open zip-up golden hoodie. I'm seated in front of a blurred background, which is my kitchen. Like roughly 25% of Americans and a full 17% of Philadelphians, I'm disabled. And whether we look locally, nationally, or globally, disability communities are full of dynamic, diverse, and frankly, delightful people with their own stories to tell. All we have to do is listen. As many of you know, I was born disabled. I've never known anything differently. So when I make a new disabled friend or I work with another disabled person, I'm always interested to hear their perspective and their story. I'm honored today to be joined by Vanessa, and I can't wait to hear what Vanessa has to say. Hi, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we'll hop right into it. Uh, tell me your diagnostic story. Was
So,
this a surprise or was it something you're like actively pursuing?
so for me, it was a huge surprise.
Okay.
Uh, I have other disabilities as well from birth,
Uh-huh.
but the one I'm focusing on today, which is gastroparesis, was a huge surprise to me. It came right out of the blue. I was a healthy, active um, person with cerebral palsy in my 20s and 30s. I ate really well. I had a full-time job. I commuted 6 hours a day, and I had a full active social life, like 3 hours there, like 3 hours back for my shift. And I ate normally and I did everything I should like have been doing, right? To take care of myself. And one night I ended up with dramatic pain in my abdomen, and I couldn't get to the like I was crawling on the floor to get to the toilet, and I had unrelenting vomiting, and I called the ER and I called my parents and I literally said like I'm in Toronto living on my own and they're in Mississauga, and I said I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm telling you that so you know. And my dad was like, I'm really worried, get to the ER. So I got to the ER and they didn't know what to do. They were like, oh, it's just nausea, it's just vomiting, you'll be fine. So they like hooked me up with a bunch of gravel and send me on my way. And I had 4 different attacks like that, each coming after midnight. I would throw up my food and I would go in the ambulance and have unrelenting pain. And the fourth time, the EMT said, I think there's something wrong. I'm going to take you to a different hospital. I think I know what's happening. You're having a gallbladder attack. And they diagnosed it because the EMT pushed and they told my doctor, like, she needs to get it out. And I had the surgery a month later. But the problem with the surgery was that I literally could not stop vomiting after the surgery as well. So I just couldn't keep any food down. And I'd be NPO and they wouldn't tell me. And I'd be like, well, I'm hungry. And they'd be like, well, that's too bad. You're not having any food. And I remember saying, like, I've got to get out of here. I got to figure something out. And they were like, oh, we'll just, I had like a memorial to go to. And I was like, I have to be there for this thing. And they were like, well, we'll dope you up with a bunch of Zofran and a bunch of other things and you'll be fine. But what happened afterwards was I got released from hospital and I started swelling in my abdomen. I started to notice that things were changing. For reference, I was a former model. I had been 110 pounds, 5'4". I fluctuated within 5 pounds my whole entire life. I put on my clothes every morning knowing that they fit. And then one morning after the surgery, I couldn't do up my pants. And I was like, this is just weird. Like I have too much swelling around my abdomen. And I went to my doctor, and my doctor was like, oh, you're fine. You're getting older. It's fine. You're in your 30s. Things are bound to slow down. You're in a wheelchair now. Don't worry about it. Just eat better. So I put myself on a clean eating diet and I gained I lost weight, but I gained 8 inches. And I was like, this is not like, I was bloated. I was just looking really weird. And I was like, this is not normal. So I went to another gastroenterologist and they said, oh, you need to, you need to eat cleaner. You need to do an elimination diet, but nothing was really helping me. So then I pushed and I pushed and I went to a gastroenterologist of my choosing in Toronto. And he said, like, there's got to be something going on. And one of my friends, when I was doing the clean eating, you had to post all your meals. And I was eating a bunch of salad. And my friend goes, oh, that's really delicious. But have you heard of gastroparesis? It's a disorder where your stomach doesn't work and it's paralyzed, and it's pretty common in the disabled community. You might want to check it out considering everything you've gone through. So when I went to the new gastroenterologist, I said, I have a feeling that this is what's going on. And sure enough, I think there's a list of like 20 symptoms and I had like 18. So I said to him, I said, like, this is what's going on. And he said, I have no doubt. Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a test, and the test came back normal. But the thing is, if they do a gastric emptying study, it's 2 hours. It can appear normal up to the 2 hour mark. And if they did it longer, you would show the delay in what's called gastric emptying, which is the time that it takes your food to digest through your system. So it turned out normal. He treated me like I had gastroparesis, and I ended up on medications and they were improving, but I still looked like I was pregnant. And I still ended up with like 3 different sizes of clothing in my closet. And I was just like, okay, there's got to be something better. There's got to be something to do. And the gastroenterologist said, I can't treat you anymore. I don't have any other resources for you. So it took me a year and a half to get another gastroenterologist. They did a longer emptying study and they found out that I had 76% remaining after 4 hours of my food. To put that in perspective, I ate a piece of toast and 2 egg beaters. It should have taken me, like, my emptying should have been under 10% to be considered normal. I had 76% remaining, so I clearly was not normal. It is severe gastroparesis, and like, if I hadn't have pushed, I wouldn't have gotten my diagnosis.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Yeah,
Uh, One thing that I thought to myself when I was hearing you speak is you go to the doctor over and over, or you seek medical attention over and over, and they keep telling you that you could try diet options, you could try all these other things,
yeah,
and by some trick of fate,
yeah,
right, you finally do get this diagnosis, which is right on the money.
yeah, yeah.
And you spent a year and a half of your life like that, you say.
Yeah. I spent, like, I would say it was 3 years from the time of symptom to time of diagnosis initially.
Hmm.
But officially, like, after they diagnosed the 4 hour emptying study, it was more like 2018. Because I took a year and a half to get from that other gastroenterologist to another one. And finally, that gastroenterologist was like, well, okay, you've got this delay. And I said, please don't give up on me. And the best thing the doctor ever said was, I'm not going to give up on you if you don't give up on me. You're in
That's
there.
good.
This is the team. This is how this is going. And
Hmm.
we'll muddle our way through. And of course, there is no cure. But you're given the best things you can get. You can get medication for it. I'm fortunate that the medication they put me on helps.
That's good.
It doesn't cure it. The diagnosis has completely changed the way I live and the way I eat. But I'm still me at the end of it. And I that's why I launched Girl with Guts. Because I wanted people to know that it's not like that this diagnosis exists, that people go through this and it's okay. You know, it's
Yep,
important.
absolutely.
Uh,
Thank you so much for that.
yeah.
So tell me, what impact has this diagnosis had on your life?
Um,
What all
well,
do you have to do now?
I I eat smaller meals. My meals are a cup and a half per meal. So it's like a mini meal. Like, so picture a toddler plate. It's like that. But it's nutritionally dense as I can possibly make it. I don't have um, raw vegetables other than in a smoothie. So I can't eat a salad. Salad is like strictly prohibited. It will actually send me into like a hospital. Um, I have to make sure that my vegetables are well cooked, de-skinned, de-seeded. And if I'm really having trouble, they'll be in a soup, a blended soup. I do not eat any meat. Some people with GP find it, which is the abbreviation for gastroparesis, in the community. Some people with GP find they're able to eat meat. I am not. Some people with GP find it easier to eat dairy. I do not. And I don't eat gluten. So my diet is completely changed. But if I eat that way and I'm pretty strict about it, then I have a better chance of eating normal foods and doing the best I can nutritionally. I have been on moments where I've had formula as well by mouth instead of, because I don't have any tubes. Some people with GP end up on tubes. I don't have tubes. So for me, I just make sure it's nutritionally dense, as much as I can. And I look at it as it's a different way to do things. It's a different way of eating. But I'm still eating, which is the plus.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was like, I learned a lot. Thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate this.
Yeah.
One thing that I often think about as an adult with a disability that's not cured yet, also, is the extent to which we have to adjust our lives to make room for our needs,
Yeah.
right? So I appreciate that highlight.
Yeah.
If you could go back in your own timeline and give your younger self one piece of advice about dealing with this disability, or alternatively, if you could advise a younger member of the GP community about this, what would that one bit of advice be?
I would say educate yourself on it. A lot of doctors aren't educated enough on it. They don't know
Sure.
how to give resources to their patients. I would also say that you're not your diagnosis. Like, yes, it impacts you. Yes, it defines certain things of your life, but it's not all of you. I am still me. And whether I am 130 pounds or much more than that, or I look different, I'm still me on the inside. I still am the same person that I've always been. I'm still, and find other things to do. Find other things that you're interested in that can take your mind off of it. So when you're having a crappy day, if that means, binging Netflix or liking a show that's, 20 years old or whatever you want to do it. I actively found hobbies to keep me busy when I wasn't feeling the greatest, and it provided a nice distraction. If that means for you finding support in your community and finding a GP support group, go for it. If you find the GP support group's not for you, don't do that either. Like, it's all customizable. Find what works for you in this journey, and it will make the journey so much easier.
Your words. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. With my fourth and final question, I want to give you that space to share more about yourself. You mentioned this Girl with Guts
Yep.
project. So where can people find you online if you're interested in building a following?
Yeah.
Or if not, just like brag about yourself, be your own cheerleader. We
I
so rarely get that chance.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And that's why I like what you're doing with the podcast. Um, Girl with Guts can be found on Facebook. It is my personal journey with this disorder and my other disabilities. It is a place for me to share my experiences and to help share hope and the lessons that I've learned through all of it. Um, I had a journey of motivational speaking before this illness. And so that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to make it a positive space where people could come and look at it and go, okay, so there is hope out there. So this disorder doesn't have to be, as like it's hard, it's a hard diagnosis, but it doesn't have to be so difficult that I'm in the mud all day, every day. And I can rise above it and I can have these lessons and I can have this hope.
I think that's great. Hey, that's really fantastic. Thanks so much for speaking with me today.
You're
Wherever
welcome.
you go, I'm rooting for you.
Have a good day.
And you as well.
Take care. Bye-bye.